Sir, we are live now. I request your permission to start with the session.
Yes, please go on.
Thank you, sir. Hari Om, everyone. A warm and heartfelt welcome to the 31st session of our lecture series, a prestigious lecture series designed exclusively for the first year BMS students. And we are delighted to have you all here today. But before we embark on this enlightening journey, let me take a moment to introduce you to Jignasa, a pan-India platform driven by the student community of Padartha within the ICE fraternity. Our motto is simple yet powerful: learn ICE to practice ICE. We strive to empower ICE students from campuses to communities, bridging the gap between students, policymakers, and administrative authorities. Jignasa serves as a unifying force connecting every aspect of IISH, including students, academicians, practitioners, scientists, industrialists, and hospitals, all under one inclusive umbrella. We firmly believe in thinking globally while acting locally, working tirelessly over the past 2 decades to strengthen the IISH education system and instill confidence among IISH students. To achieve our goals, Jignasa has undertaken various impactful initiatives across the country, ranging from grassroots to international platforms, and some of our key initiatives include study circles, lecture series, free medical camps, social health status surveys, hands-on training workshops, conferences, interaction with eminent Vaidyas and academicians, brainstorming sessions with high stalwarts, policymakers, and key stakeholders, National Aragya Expo and International Conference, national level seminars, medicinal plant visits, pharmaceutical visits, agitations for high students community advocating for the rights and demands of high students, private internship program facilitating hands-on learning experience under the guidance of acharyas, interaction with traditional leaders, online mock tests, social awareness campaigns, free healthcare assistance in extending support during natural calamities and accidents through local governing bodies were also provided by our organization. Our last session was a testament to the overwhelming response and enthusiasm from students. With over 400 live participants and more than 18,000 views, we are humbled by your active engagement and dedication to learning. At Jignasa, we understand the financial challenges that many students face when it comes to accessing commercial study platforms, and we firmly believe that education should be accessible to all regardless of their financial constraints. Hence, we are committed to providing a helping hand to every student fueled by the burning desire to learn. With the support of experts in the field, we offer you the opportunity to learn first year syllabus with no financial burden. And all we ask you for is your unwavering interest and passion for knowledge. And today, we are honored to have Dr. Alok Raiser, BMS MD, Professor and Vice Principal, Basic Principles Department, Shushruta Ayurveda Medical College and Hospital, Bengaluru. Sir completed his graduation from Karnataka and post-graduation from Maharashtra. Sir is currently Professor, HOD, Basic Principles Department and even Vice Principal of Shushruta Ayurveda Medical College and Hospital. Sir is Managing Director and Administrative Director in Kurias Earth Ayurvedic Multi-Speciality Center, Bengaluru. Sir is Board of Studies member in Mandasur University, Madhya Pradesh, and currently practicing pure Ayurveda system of medication since last 21 years. Sir, we are delighted to have you on the session, sir, and we extend our warmest welcome to you, sir, and to each and everyone who have joined us for the session today. Sir, now I request you to carry this session forward.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Karthik. It's a privilege to guide the students for the exams, and I hope my lecture may help them to uh, come up with the problems which they face usually in writing the exam. I'll try to simplify. I'm not going to uh, start any topic, just trying to make the students understand how to tackle these subjects. So, anyhow, I will start sharing my screen and we'll go as this thing as ahead. First thing before starting any session regarding about the subject, the student should know that the syllabus of Padartha Vignana is very limited, and we have a 200 marks question for that. Now it is divided into paper 1 and paper 2. Since the syllabus is limited, most of the time the questions will be repeated. So if you solve last 2 3 years question papers, even if it is an old syllabus also, the most of the time, if you see the questions will be repeated. They may just change the sequence of the sentence, and they may bring the same question. So it is not no need to get panic, especially for at least Padarth Vigya subject. As I tell to my students that Padarth Vigya is having 1/4 of the Rachna syllabus, but the same marks are there. But most of the students they are unable to cater this particular subject, and they get the means they fail in this subject. But it's easy if you well, if you plan early and properly, it's the most easiest subject to pass, because since I have told that most of the time the questions are repeated. So I will be trying to help the students who are going to attend the exam this time, and maybe in the later in a video series, etc. They can again watch this thing and they can learn and they can educate themselves for helping them to pass the exam. Now, first thing we should know about the question paper of the Padarth Vignana. Now, there is a standard format all over the India. Now, since the NCSM has come into the picture, they are trying to standardize the question answers and many of the education policies. So for that, it has become more easier also for the students, but they have to understand the format. Now, according to the new NCSM protocol, we have four long answer question, which is the 10 mark each question, and there 8 marks, 5 marks question. They are eight in number, and another 20 MCQ questions are there. This is a standard format for both PV1 and PV2. You have to remember now, since now the students are of varieties. Now, if you are writing more, you cannot give more time to for 10 marks question, because hardly I think so. You should take only 20 minutes to write one long answer question, because there are four questions. There are other questions also where you have to keep you have to give your time. So if a student is a long writer, so better you start with the short answer question first. Now depends upon university and place wherever. Now here in Karnataka, Rajiv Gandhi has fixed the number of pages so that you cannot write beyond that pages. So my advice to the student is that you have to stick to that. So since 5 pages are allotted for a long answer question, minimum you should write 3 to 4 pages. And if you write properly with all the points, even if it is a 2 and 2.5 page, you will get full marks. Out of 10, at least 7 to 8, 8 to 9, you can get the marks. So you have to understand the question paper properly. If you understand the question paper format and everything, then it will be a very planned and study and writing also, and you can execute it in a very well manner, so that it will be easy for you to gain more marks. Now, my second slide is the long answer question. Now, since I told you there are four long answer questions. This is basically pertaining to PV1. PV2 will take later. Now, NCSM has defined from where the question has to come. So that's why there are these 7 chapters are there in PV1. So in that 7 chapters, 4 questions will be coming. So almost most of the chapters will be touched. Now, if you see in the chapter 6 and chapter 7, that is Samanya Vishesha Siddhanta and PV1, even if it is not asked in long answer question, they can always be separately asked in a short note questions, like 5 marks from Samanya, 5 marks from Vishesha. So in Padartha Vignana, almost any teacher can predict what kind of questions will come to the main exam. Since I have told you in my just before some time before that, portions are very limited, hence and marks are more. So the most of the time the questions are repeated. The last 2 3 years, if you say, the only the changing of sequences will be there. Now uh, now certain like 4 questions will be asked from PV1, that is for a long answer question. Usually what happens from Ayurved Nirupana and Ayurved and Darshana, the chapter 1 and 2, one question may be asked. And what may be the question? For example, I have given here example. Explain the philosophical background of fundamentals of Ayurveda. Means they are trying to ask the student about how the Darshana and the Ayurvedas are linked together. So here in that particular answer, we have to write a comparative study. For example, in Vaisheshik Darshana, we are the first Darshana which is has influenced a lot is the Vaisheshik Darshana. So now in Vaisheshik Darshana, you can write that Shat Padarthas are Dravya Guna Karma, Samanya Visheshan Samvaya. The same Shat Padartha is used by Charaka, but the sequence is different. There, Samanya Vishesha Guna, Dravya, Karma, and Samvaya. So if you write side by side, so what happens? It will depict the that we have taken from the Shat Padarthas from Vaisheshik, but we have changed the sequence because our needs are different. Our aim is different. Our aim is purely regarding Swasthya Swasrakta and Atra Savika Prashna. Hence, the sequence was changed because we have given more important to the principles rather than the dravyas. So, like that, we have to approach these particular questions in that way. So once you know that this kind of questions are coming, so you can plan properly and you can write and execute in the answer paper in a very well planned manner. Now another question is there Dravya. Now Dravya chapter is quite big because all Panchamahabhutas and the all the nine Karan Dravyas, especially Panchamahabhutas and the four Disha, Kal, Manas and Atma. So they are the probable 10 marks question. So any of the one 10 marks question will come. For example, they may ask like explain Dravya, its Lakshanas, Vargikaran and importance in Chikitsa. So in the coming down in the slides, we will be discussing about probable and some question answer review also, so it will be easy for you. Or for example, they can ask explain the utility of Kala in Ayurveda, or explain Panchamahuta theory and its importance. So this is the question which comes arise from the chapter 3. So chapter 3 is definitely one probable question where Dravya. So these 3 4 questions are there. I think so more than that no other questions will be there. And usually one question comes from this particular chapter of the chapter number 3. Chapter 4, Guna is very important, almost 25 marks. 20 to 25 marks are allocated to this particular chapter, and hence one long answer question is compulsory. So we know that now, for example, they may ask define and classify Guna and explain Paradi Guna in detail or utility of Paradi Guna, or instead of Paradi Guna, they may ask Gurvadi Gunas. So one question is certain in this particular chapter, and we have to prepare accordingly. Now, always the student should remember that they are, since if they ask Gurvadi Guna also for a 10 marks question, now the answer seems to be lengthy, but you have to try to cover within 4 to 4.5 pages only. You cannot write too much because if you write too much, you may not be able to complete the answer. So we have to write in a very minimal way, covering all the 20 gunas. For examples, if any kind of guna question is coming, so usually there are 4 things. Always remember, any Gurvadi guna is asked. So you have to first define that Gurvadi guna, like Yasya Brahmanasya Shakti Sahab, this Guru Guna. So like that, then Panch Bhautik Sanghatan and examples. They are very much important. These 3 things or 4 things, if you write in each Gurvadi guna, I think so. Time will be also minimal, and you can cover all the 20 Gurvadi Gunas within the 4 to 4.5 pages within a span of 20 minutes. So that is what we should understand, and no need to write excess because you may not get the mark. Because if you write excess, also maximum you can get only 8 to 9 marks, not beyond the 10 marks. So you have to think in that way and write. And definitely, another one question is there from Karma also. Now, since before in RGHS syllabus there are only 2 questions, now since they have increased to 4 long answer questions, so one question from Karma is also possible, and almost the portion is limited of Karma. So here we have to understand that uh, first, always there is a standard format in writing an answer: definition, types, utility. So this is the what we have to write in most of the places. Same thing is that now definition of karma has to be written, the 2 line shloka of the charaka. Then the types of karma according to the Ayurveda, how we try to divide it, and of course the division itself can tell about its utility. So all those things has to be written, and already PDF notes are there from most of the teachers. You can know about it, etc., and you can get back to this particular topic. Now coming to the chapter 6 and 7, Samana Vishesha, always it is asked either in a 10 marks question or a short note question. So it's a guaranteed question from this particular chapter. So if it is asked also, for example, they may ask in that way, explain Samana Vishesha Siddhanta and its importance in Ayurveda, where you have to write both about Samanya as well as Vishesha along with example. Again, as I've told you, there is a standard format in writing this kind of question. One is definition, types, examples. So this has to be mostly it is this kind of format is should be there in most of the PV answers, so that it will help us to also give us marks, and it will be useful for you people also to give us the marks. So this is about the long answer questions. Now coming back to the short answer questions. Now there are 8 questions in PV1. Now the topics which are allotted for short answer question is all the chapters. So all the chapters now, what happens? The For example, if Samanya Vishesha Siddhanta is asked for long answer question, definitely it may not be asked in the short answer question. Since we have only eight questions, so the topics which has to be covered also is quite number. So they may ask from Dravya and all those things like Anyona Pravesha Siddhanta. Here example I have given. Here the Siddhanta Pravesha Siddhanta means the Panchamahabhuta Utpatti is either by two things, by Trutikaran or Panchikaran. So Anyanya Pravesha is nothing but Panchikaran where the Mahabhuta, each Mahabhuta is having the attribute of the other Mahabhuta. One half is taken by that particular Mahabhuta and the remaining half is shared by the other Mahabhuta. So which is also called as Panchikaran. So you can draw the figures also in this particular question, as well as you can write descriptions also. So this will again, if you draw the figures in this kind of questions, you may get good marks in that particular pattern. Now, Manoguna and Karma always Manna Anna Mayatva here in Rajiv Gandhi University. We have seen every year this question is repeated. Either this question or maybe Mano Vishaya, Mano Karma. Now they are very specific question. Specific answers are there in textbook, and it is always asked. It is always most of the time it is asked in the examination. So you should be ready. That's Anuttam Gunatva. Two gunas are there, Anutva Ekatva, and again you have to write the Nyayas also where you are using this particular like Shatapatra Pushpa Nyaya as well as the Alata Darshana Nyaya to prove the Ekatva and Anutva of the Manas. Then Karma definitely, Karma is Swanigraha and other two karmas are explained for the Manas. So that you have to write it properly. Now don't write what Darshanas have told in TV. We have to write wherever Charaka has told about this particular topic. You have to first give choice to the Charaka's answer only. So here also Mano, Guna and Karma, Charaka has given very clearly about it and he explained about it. So you have to write those things only. In textbooks, you will find many other karmas which are explained by the Darshana, but we are not interested in Darshana. We are interested only in Ayurveda. So we'll write what Charaka has said instead of Darshana. Some topics where Charaka has not said, that definitely the Darshana's shlokas and the explanation has to be written. Now, Manas Annamayatva, the Manas Annamayatva is nothing but the Pancha of the Manas. It has been asked, I think, so almost many times every year or alternate years in the examination for a short note question. It's nothing but about explain about the Panch Bhautikta of the Manas, because Manas as Panch Bhautik is told only in Ayurveda. No Darshana has accepted it. So definitely it's an unique question. So it has been asked several times. You have to write the notes and again you have to explain it also in that way. Atma Lakshana is Bheda. As I told you, whatever the standard format is, most of the place it here, definition, types, and utility. So here directly the question has been asked about Atma Lakshana and Veda. Now we have 18 Lakshanas of Atma. So if you remember at least 9, 10, you can write and always write with Devanagari Lipi, and then you can write in the right side with English meaning, English letter meaning. So it will be easy for the examiner to give full marks in that particular questions. And the Veda, we know that Atma is of 3 types, so that Veda also you have to write. Now, Abhav definition, every year it is asked Abhav definition. And Adhara Adaya Sambandh is nothing but Samvaya. So one short note question is always asked from Abhava and when as well as Samvaya. Because since long answer question cannot be asked from these 2 chapters, so usually it is asked for a short notes question. So these 2 questions are sure in Abhava and Samvaya. The Samvaya definition types example. There are no types of, so you have to example, you have to write, and the Adhar Adhe Sambandh has to be written. Now, another one question is that Pravritti Ubhayastu. Now, if Samana Vishesh is not asked for a long question, Pravritti Ubhayastu is nothing but it's about the technical, it's about the utility of Samana Vishesha in total, how we are going to use it in treatment principles, etc. So that is, so the description has to be given in this particular topic where we will be giving about how we utilize the Samana Vishesha Siddhanta in treatment principle. It's nothing like Snehana, Rukshna, Svedana, Stambhana, the Shatupkrama, Chikitsa, Brahmana Langana, this Chikitsa has to be explained in short how we are going to do that. So in Samana Vishesh Siddhanta. Now Vaishish Gunas, now Gunas as I told you, bulk of marks is allotted to the Guna chapter itself. So around 20 to 25 marks question will be coming on. One long answer question is always a sure in Guna question. Now in short note, so remaining After 10 marks, remaining short notes question, at least one or two can be asked from Guna. So they may ask Vaisheshik Guna, or if they didn't ask Guruvadi Gunas in for a 10 marks question, they may ask at least two Guruvadi Gunas like Pishila Vishida, Snigdha Ruksha, Guru Lagu, Sandra Drava. So in these particular situations, there again, as I told you, you have to write in a proper format. If any Guna is asked in the exam, you have to write first the definition of the Guna, then you have to write about the Panchabhautik Sanghatan of the Guna, then you have to write the karma, what the action that particular guna is doing, and definitely after that you have to write the examples. Now this thing, same format has to be repeated in the other gunas also. Like they may ask two gunas clubbed together, like Pichila Vishida, Guru Lagu, Snigdha Ruksha, Manda Tikshna, like that they may ask. So you have to write the Panchabhautik Sanghatan as well as examples everywhere wherever it is possible, because one mark is given extra for examples. So you have to write proper examples and it has to be written down in a proper way. Now, coming to the darshana, now if darshana is not asked, so one question, maybe one short note question can be asked, like Sankhya Darshana and Ayurveda or Vaishik Darshana and Ayurveda. Even if they ask a darshana directly, we have to write the common linkage pattern of the darshana with the Ayurveda. No need to write total in total. Definitely, if you don't have this, like who is the author, the concept, and other things, the padarthas, how many padarthas those particular darshanas have told, and what is the contribution or linkage with the Ayurveda. So that has to be written. Now, another one question is there, explain Ichha Dvesha. Ichha Dvesha is nothing but again uh, guna, what we call as Adhyatmic guna. So they are six in number. As I told you, one long question can be a long question always may be. What I feel is that either they may ask Gurvadi guna or Paradi gunas. So if they ask Paradi gunas, so they may ask Gurvadi gunas in short notes. If they ask Paradi gunas there, they Gurvadi gunas in long answer question, they may ask Paradi guna in short notes. And in a minimal chances of each other, like Adhyatmic gunas as well as for the Vaisheshik gunas, because those 30 gunas are very important to the Ayurveda and we use it in a very practical way. So most of the time the utility is asked. So for those particular guna. So like that, these 5 marks questions will be built up. And after that, you may have a MCQ question. Now MCQ questions, please write in a proper way, because those are high scoring questions. You will get directly full mark. It is just about ticking the right thing. So a student, if he is scoring 15 to 7, 15 to 18 in MCQs, or if he is scoring 20 also, it is a very good scoring, because most of the time your marks will be cutted in 10 marks question as well as in 5 marks question, but in MCQ you get full marks. So if you're getting a good number by good marks in MCQ pattern like 15 marks, 17, 18 marks, just you need to score maybe how much, maybe around 32, 34 or 35. So that's why uh, the MCQs has to be written and well prepared properly, and I think that is this is the one which help the students to pass, to go ahead above the 50 percentage. So you always remember in that way. So MCQs has to be, think wisely, think twice before taking any right answer. So that is the only advice I want to give you. So this was about overall PV1. PV1. Now most of the time I have told you that the questions are repeated. Okay, long answer questions are repeated, short answer questions are repeated. So you have to prepare the notes accordingly. So if this particular question comes for 5 marks, so what you have to write? So there is a particular as a standard format. I have told you that is definition, types, and utility, along with examples. So that is that standard format. You always remember. You have to study in that way, and you have to attempt the answers in that particular pattern, which will help you to gain more marks and to be precise what you have to write. So this is about the paper one. Now coming back to the paper two, same thing. We have now again the Itihas has been removed from here, and we have a very limited portions of PV2, and 100 marks has been allotted. So 100 marks has been allotted. So definitely the questions are always repeated. Now, as we know that in previous syllabus also, one question was always from Karya Karna Siddhanta for 10 marks or for 15 marks. It used to always come. Every year it is to come. So that so if you know which question is coming, then what is the problem in preparing the answer for that? So for that reason, it is the students has to pay attention to those particular questions. So for a 10 marks question, what you should write. So we'll discuss later in the coming slides. So that because Karya Karana Siddhanta is there, chapter 7, which is always it is asked in the exam. We know that. So what we are going to write. So I'll give you just one brief format. I'm not telling you to write exactly what I teach, but I'll give you a brief format how to attempt those questions and what are these what we as a teacher when we try to check the paper what we want. So like that we know now since long answer questions there are again four questions, seven chapters, four questions. So first chapter like pariksha. Now there is pariksha uh, and aptopdesha. Pariksha and aptopdesha. First chapter 1 and 2, one question is sure. And chapter 3, Pratyaksha Pramana, and chapter 4, Anuman Pariksha. One question is compulsory. So what 10 marks question? The fluctuate and Karya Karana is also one question is compulsory. So this chapter 3, 4, 7, 1 question it is coming. The fourth question may come from chapter 1 and 2. And what is that chapter 1 and 2? It is nothing but the basics of Pramana and Pariksha, the Chaturvid Pariksha. So there is only one probable questions for this 10 marks question is the what is Chaturvid Pariksha and explain its importance in Ayurveda, because that question has been explained in the chapter 1, means the Chaturvid Pariksha, the Charakokta Chaturvid Pariksha, Aptodesha Pratyaksha Anumana, because the world is divided into two, truth and false. So how to know the truth? So we require Pariksha, and that is the four types of Pariksha. So that explanation we have to give, and we'll discuss this thing about in the later 10 marks question. So this or from Aptabdesha. Now Aptabdesha, what kind of question they may ask? If you see this is question number 7, define Aptabdesha and write down Apta Purusha Lakshana and utility. So here three things has been asked in a particular question which can be asked for 10 marks. So, like as I told you, always there are hardly how much 15 to 20 topics in both paper one and paper two. Definitions, all the definitions as well as the shloka has to be learned and by hearted by the student so that it's easy. Now define aptodesha. It's a simple line, three, four words shloka. So aptavachanam is aptodesha. So like that, if you write a shloka, it's easy for us to give us the mark also. And here the questions are specific. They are like define aptopdesha, write down apta purusha lakshana, and its utility. The 10 points are there in utility. All those things you have to study in point system. So what happens? You remember those things while writing the exams, and it will be easy for you to score marks. So that was about chapter 1 and chapter 2. Now chapter 3, Pratyaksha Pariksha and Anuman Pariksha. Now Pratyaksha Pariksha, definitely one question is going to come. So what may be the question? It may be like explain Pratyaksha Pramana and enumerate Pramanas accepted by other Darshana, or they may ask explain Pratyaksha Pramana and Sannikarsha and its utility in Ayurveda, or they may ask Sannikarsha. So like that, so one long answer question is definitely from Pratyaksha Pariksha. So you should again, as I know, we have to first study the definition of Pratyaksha and Pratyaksha types. We know that it is two types. The table has to be remembered. Savikalpaka, Nirvikalpaka. So you can write down the table if you don't have the time, and you can go for next like there may be other foot for in a question which you should answer like utility. Now, after writing the types, you can directly go for utility. Based on the each Indriya, you can attempt the utility. Nanuman Pariksha is a very big chapter. One question is definitely coming from this chapter for a long answer question. There are two or three questions where we can ask in Anuman Pariksha. Because, for example, here I've given the question number 2, right side. If you see, define Anumana, its type, and explain Hitva Bhasa. So, this is one long answer question. Another one question is that explain Anumana Gamya Bhavas and their utility in diagnosis. So, these are the two questions where, or they may ask, define Anumana, uh, explain Anumana Bheda according to Charaka and its utility in Ayurveda. So, like that, the questions may come and it may differ. So, we have to prepare. We'll discuss in the later the slides how we are going to write it. So, we know now which questions are coming in the question paper. So, we have to prepare accordingly and write in that proper format so that it will be easy for you to score marks. Now, here also we have 8 questions for short answer questions. Now all chapters will be asked. So these are the few I've given examples what can be asked. It's not that. So like in Indrartha Sannikasha Bheda Pratyaksha Anuplabdhi Karana Shabda Vrutti Yukti now since Yukti Pariksha is also one of the important Pariksha which has been missed a long answer question, as well as Upman Pariksha, Upman Pramana. So both one question is definite from Yukti Pariksha and one question from Upman Pramana. So remaining is 6. I have already told Yukti Pariksha one question will has to come. There also you have to study the definitions, type. There is no type of Yukti Pariksha, but examples of Yukti Pariksha and its utility in Ayurveda. Same thing for Upmana, Upman Pramana, the definition and the examples and its utility in Ayurveda. So these are the standard format of all the most of the short note question. Definition, types, examples, on and fourth is utility. So these things, this is the standard format for almost all the questions of short notes. You have to study. You have to study in that way, and you have to attempt to write in that way so that you get more marks. Explain Shadrushya with example is nothing but an upmana. Sadrushya is nothing but an upmana. So as I told you, one question compulsory from Yukti, one from Upmana. So remaining 6 can be asked here and there. In that, some few important questions are there like Pilupaka, Pitarapaka, Tarka. Okay, Tarka, one question is there in Anupama Prana. Then Sabhava Upramvada. Panchavya Vak is nothing but Pararthanumana. Pilupaka, Pitarapaka. Okay, so like that, these are the different short notes question. Aptobdesh Pariksha is also having a lot of short notes question. Like we have Vakyartha Gnan Hetu, Shabdartha Bodhak Vritti, Shakti Graha, define Shabda and explain Shabda Bheda, like that. So many questions are there. Even the other small pramanas like Arthapatti pramanas can also be asked for a short notes question. Now, here the notes for the short notes question has to be prepared accordingly, or if it is readily available with some of the seniors, you have to take it and you have to write in that proper way so that you get the best marks. So here most of the questions will be scattered for these things, etc. Now, if you see, this is actually about a long essay. Before the 10 marks question is to come for 15 mark, but it is same. Now the marking system it is little bit altered, but it is same. For example, one time in Rajiv Gandhi University, very difficult question paper had come. So they were like explain the utilities of Padartha. So it was asked for 15 mark, but usually now if it is coming it may be asked for 10 mark. Now Padartha utility is very big topic because we have shat padarthas. In that shat padarthas we have to write the importance of all the 6 padarthas within to 4 to 5 pages. So, and you cannot write incomplete also. Even if you write 5 pages, if you write incomplete, you will not get marks. So you have to write each. But how to do that? So first thing, any 10 marks question will be divided into particular system so that it's easy for us to try to divide. For example, definition of Padartha with Lakshana, we give 1 mark. If it is a 10 marks question, we'll give you 2 mark. Now Padartha Sankhya, now we know that there every Darshana is telling about Padartha in different way, but in Ayurveda we say 6 Padartha, so we'll be talking about that Padartha Sankhya. Then again, go since the question is answer is very big, go directly with for the answer. No need to explain anything. Like utility of Samanya Padartha, utility of Vishesha Padartha, utility of Guna Padartha, utility of Dravya Padartha, utility of Samvaya. So in the same Shat Padartha sequence where Charaka has told, so you have to write in this particular pattern only. It will be easy for you to attempt the answer. So we'll be discussing in the coming slides about how we go to this. So for example, here, as I've given you, there we have to divide every answer in point system. First is introduction. Introduction about the Padartha. Padartha is our base. We have to study because they are one of the important part of the. It's an entry door to the Ayurveda. So after writing a 2 lines, you can go for a definition. Shannamapi Padartha Astita Bideyatu Netva. So there are 3 Lakshana. So that you have to write in Padartha Bheda, that is Sankhya, Samanya Vishesha Guna, Dravya Samvaya, all those things, etc. If you have to write it, now directly go for answers like utility of Saman and Vishesha in Ayurveda, because Saman and Vishesha is one of the important principle because it has been given. Like So here we directly go with the examples and with how we are going to use those things. For example, Shira is given for Shukra Vruddhi, Mamsa is given for Mamsa Vruddhi, Gugulu is used for Medu Vruddhi, it's in Vishesha. Vyayama is used in Staulya. So like that you have to give the examples and explain those in short, then go for now, since importance of guna in Ayurveda, it is a usually general question. Now, we cannot explain all the 20 gunas or 41 gunas in this particular part. So, we have to explain in such way that you have to cover the most, you have to write in general. You don't need to write all the gunas, 41 gunas. Like treatment, if you see the Shatupkrama, which is pushed by Ashtang Hridaya, the Brahmana, Snehana, Stambhana, Langana, Rukshna, Sweda, they are nothing but the actions of certain the drugs, the guna of the drugs, they are the karma of the drugs. So those things has to be written in short, and if you see the answer. So now coming to the utility of dravya. The utility of dravya, already if you see the dravya is divided into three category by Charaka. So why? Because based on its our consumption. Okay, we are not studying based divisions based on darshanas, but in Ayurvedic way, like Kinchita dosha. Some dravyas may they may do dosha prashamana, they may do dhatu pradushaka, and some may do swastha hitkara. They may not have the effect of the dosha so much. So like that, we try to study. Now again, importance of karma in Ayurveda. We use vamana, panchkarma, we use shastra karma, that is agri karma, shara karma, etc. And all those things will be the important samvaya. To define anything, we have to use the adhar adaya sambandha. If there was no inseparable relation, we cannot define a thing. So no need to get panic in untoward questions where the answer seems to be very much vast. No need to get panic. Just wait for a moment, think for a moment, then write intelligently. So what happens? It will be helpful for you to gain more marks without wasting your time, because you cannot spend more than 20 to 25 minutes more than for writing a long answer question is such kind of scenario. So you have to write intelligently, and you can use this knowledge and this thing to attempt and get the best out of with the paper. So that was about it. One probable 10 marks question. Now another one question is there. Now Samanya Vishesh Siddhanta has been asked several times in the examination for 10 mark or 15 mark. It was in old syllabus. Now we try for 10 mark. It can be asked. Now how we are going to try to divide the marks? You have to write the first introduction, Samanya definition with shloka, Samanya classification with example, Vishesha definition with shloka, Vishesha classification with examples, importance or applications of Samanya Vishesha Siddhanta in Ayurveda. So these are the headings. These are the headings. Always remember, we have to divide all the long answer questions into headings and subheadings, so that's it easy for an examiner to view those headings and give the marks, and it will be you will get more marks. So don't write in paragraph system. Try to write everything in point system and try to divide. This is just an example. You can divide according to you also. It's up to you, but always try to divide the answers into headings, subheadings. So it will be easy for you to attempt the question, as well as the examiner will also give you more better marks. For example, now here introduction part. Now we know that Samanya Vishesha is the first Padartha of all the Padarthas explained by Charaka. So instead of Dravya, we give importance to the Samanya and Vishesha because those are the principles. They are the basic fundamental principles of treatment. Okay, these are the basic fundamentals. So we use, and hence we give importance to the principles rather than drug, because based on principle only we select a drug. Okay, based on principles only we select a drug. So drug is always a secondary in Ayurveda, and hence this importance of principle is there, and we have to study. Now everybody knows this particular shloka. So wherever this definition, like in Samanya definition, Sarvada Sarva Bhavana Samana Buddhikram, there are three, four definitions. Samana Ekatwakram. These are two words definition. If you write this kind of definitions, you get 1 or 2 marks here only, and you will get good marks. So it will be appreciated that if you study this shloka. Now again, Samanya classification. Now this is just a PPT. Here I am just giving an idea. You have to write it. Okay, you have to write it. This is just for the PPT purpose. I'm just giving the headings. Okay, in detail you have to write about all those things, like Dravya Samanya. What is Dravya Samanya? For example, if you give moms, if you're taking more, so it will lead to Mamsa Vruddhi. like that. So Dravya Samanya, Guna Samanya, Karma Samanya, etc. has to be written. Then other classification also there, Ubhavrutti Samanya and Ekavrutti Samanya. So those things also has to be written with examples. Okay, we have to write with examples wherever it's possible. Now Vishesha is the same pattern of this Vishesha is with the Samanya, same in that way. The first definition, classification, along with examples. Along with example has to be written. Okay, Dravya Vishesha, wherever it is, Guna Vishesha, Karma Vishesha. Vishesha is nothing but a reducing factor. You write with the examples. Now, and then at last, you have to write the importance of Samana Vishesha in Ayurveda. So, what is this importance of Samana Vishesha in Ayurveda? It's nothing but how we use this particular principle for vitiation, aggravation, elevation of doshas. This entire treatment is principle is based on these particular principles. So how we can increase, decrease. We have to balance the doshas. No? We have to balance the dhatus, malas, etc. And that balancing act is provided by the Samana and Vishesha in Ayurveda. So certain example has to be given. You can also write the Shatupkrama, which is nothing but an extension of the principles of Samana Vishesha Siddhanta in the treatment. So in this way, we have to attempt the answers and give maximize our this thing. Now that was for the question in paper one, uh, and in any of the questions, if any guna question is coming for 10 marks, then no need to get panic. You have to write first like definition of guna, samvayatu nischesta karanam guna, then guna bheda. Now according to Chakrapani, 41 gunas are explained. So this again, this bheda, you have to draw the table like guna is divided into three. First is samanya gunas, then is vaisheshik gunas, then it is uh, adhyatmic gunas. Then samanya gunas again it is divided into two categories. One is 20 Guruvadi gunas, 10 is Paradi gunas. Then you have to write the name of those particular guna names, classification. Then you have to start with the specific question if it is asked for. Like, for example, they might have asked for Paradi guna. Then you start explaining Paradi guna each and each with examples, which is example and its utility. So like that, you have to attempt the question. Definitely one question is there from Guna. If Guruvadi Guna is asked, you can directly start with Guruvadi Guna and try to attempt to write all the 20 Guruvadi Gunas. Even if you write two lines, three lines for each Guna, it's more than enough. But you have to write all the Gunas, because if you write all the Gunas, then only you will get full marks. Otherwise, you don't. If you write only Guru and Lagu and start explaining those things, what happened? If you don't write the other 18, then you may not get marks. You may marks will be reduced. So hence you have to attempt all the answers, but you should not write more, because as I told you, Gurvati Gunas is a very big topic. We cannot try to complete within more than within the 5 pages, because with that question, there's some other question like define guna, classify guna, and explain Gurvati Gunas will be there. So you have to give attention to all the other questions also. Meanwhile, so hence you have to cover all the 20 Gurvati Gunas. Just three lines is enough. Write Panchabotik Sangathan, write definition and example. That much only. So it will be easy. And if you write for all 20 Guruvadi Gunas, you will get maximum mark. You will get almost 8 to 9 marks if you write it in proper way. So that was about paper one. So there again, probable question. If you see, Kala can be asked. There are PDF format of my PV notes also, which is in the form of question answers. You can refer those question answers format. Though it is written a long way before, when the pattern was 15 marks, 5 marks, and 3 marks, but same questions will be there. Only the marking has changed. Now it is asked for only 10 marks and 5 marks. So you can refer those particular PDF format notes for better scoring. So that was about the paper one. Now coming back to the paper two. So if you see, as I told you right now, I have told you the first chapter of PV2 and second chapter of PV2, that is Aptopdesh Pariksha as well as Pariksha definitions, etc. There are two questions where they can ask for 10 marks question. One is again, what is Chaturved Pariksha, and explain its importance in Ayurveda. So this is a 10 marks question. Now this 10 mark question, here we have to write all the Pariksha, okay, importance. So it's a vast question. So, but you have to write in an intelligent way. So, how we try to divide? This is how we try to divide the pattern. Or because since it is a question like what is Chaturvid Pariksha, first you have to introduce, give a definition of Pariksha, Pariksha Bheda, Then what is the importance of pariksha? That is pramana, pratifala, etc. Then all the four parikshas individual importance. Though the marking is here for 15 marks, but we can adjust it for 10 marks, where in the new pattern the 10 marks question is asked. So then we will reduce marks here and there, but the question paper or answer paper format should be in this particular standard format. There are 8 headings in this particular question. So try to write and give weightage to each heading so that you can get good marks. For example, here introduction pramana is are nothing but the means or instrument in acquiring knowledge. Pariksha is the word used for pramana in Ayurveda. It is derived from two words, parita ikshanam. Now, parikshati vyavasthapati vastu sarupam manyate pariksha. So please define pariksha. Don't, if they ask pramana, define pramana. Pramana is different. Yathartha prama tat sadhanam cha pramana. But here they ask a word typically pariksha. So go for pariksha. Don't write pramana definition here because it has been asked for pariksha only. Now, pariksha bheda, types of pariksha bheda. So there are four types of pariksha. So Charaka has used. You have to write in that particular reference. And Sutrasthana, he has to prove the existence of Punarjanma. Charaka used these four parikshas, the Aptopdesha, Pratyaksha, Anumana, and Yukti for proving. So those are the four parikshas. And what is the use, general use of pariksha and pramana? So it is nothing but pratipatti jnana. Pratipatti is nothing the scientific process or scientific knowledge or know how to get the knowledge about this particular thing. So that is where now pratipatti gana is nothing but a result of pariksha. Now again, we have to go back. They have to the question. What they said is that explain the utility of all the Chaturved parikshas. So you have to write in short all the four parikshas utility. So here I have written about 3 or 4 points regarding Aptopdesha. So Prakopa, Yoni, Utthana, Samsthana, Prognosis. All those are the factors which can be known by Aptopdesha only, which is already there. Almost 10 points are there in this particular importance of Aptopdesha. If a question is coming independently, like define Aptopdesha Pramana, write Aptopurusha Lakshanas and utility, there you have to write all the 10 points. But since this is a clubbed question where you have to write utility of all the four parikshas, so you have to shorten your answer because since time is also lagging and the pages are not properly, you have only 4 to 5 pages to write this answer. So you cannot write all those things. So here, out of 10, you write 3 or 4 because other questions, other answers has to also be written by you. Like Prokopa is the Yoni, Utthana, wholesome factors, name is there. Then other direct total 10 points in Aptopdesh Pariksha, which is already there in the textbook. Now again coming to the Pratyaksha. Now Pratyaksha, you also utility you have to write, for example, Chakshushya Pariksha. Now what you are going to see, the color, shape, measurement, complexion, the gait, the walking style, etc. can be visualized by Chakshushya. Then by Srotraja, by gurgling sound in the intestine. Then respiratory sounds and all other sounds can be known. Then examination through sparshana, normal, abnormal touch, pain, tenderness, rebound tenderness. Then the localization of the pain, etc., can be known by sparsha, ushna, shita, etc. Then granaja, smell of the body, smell of the wound, whether it is infected, not infected, and all those things can be known by the pratyaksha pariksha. So all those utility you have to go for. Only write utility, don't write any other thing. Now, like utility of Anumana, now Anumana is also there. So we have almost 18 points, 18 Anumana, what we call as Anuman Gamya Bhavas. So what we can know about Agni, we can know about the Bala, that is strength, we can know about the Indriya functioning, we can know the Manas, Vignana, Rajoguna, Moha. So all those can be known by Anumana. So already 8 total, if you see, 18 points are there. So in that few only you have to write at least 5. You write here in this particular pattern because you write it. Similarly, after that, Yukti also has to be written. They have asked about Chaturvid Pariksha. So you have to write all these 4 parikshas in short. So to prove Punarjanma, to drug research, experimental evidence and diagnosis, etc., Yukti Pariksha is used. So this way that you have to write such kind of questions where the answer seems to be lengthy, but if you plan it properly, you can write it in proper time as well as you can score more marks. Now, another question, as I told you, Karya Karana Bheda, Karya Karana Vada, and Satkarya Vada. Always it is asked in the examination. Always it is asked. Every year before also it was asked. This time definitely it is going to be asked because since we have now more extra 2 long answer question. Before only 2 were there, now 4 are there. Definitely this kind of question will be asked from Karya Karana Vada. Now, what is that? Now, always remember this question. I have told you since it is coming every year. You have to prepare the answers accordingly. Now, Karana Lakshana, you have to explain Karana Lakshana, Karana Bheda, Karya Lakshana, Satkaryavada, importance of Satkaryavada. So usually we are trying to cover these five topics or five headings in this 10 marks question. Now it is a 10 marks question for your syllabus, but before it was 15 marks question. Now it is a 10 marks question. So this, if it is asked, uh, you have to write it in that particular pattern. Now, what it is that introduction? Introduction, we have to study this Karna Karyavada because they are one of the important principles where we use it in profoundly in Ayurveda. So those things has to be read. What is Karna? What is Karya, Kartru, Karma, etc. All those things. The Karana Lakshana. So we have to write the Karana Lakshana. What is the reason? Hetu. Now, Karana is also again of three types. Samvai Karana. Okay, Samvai Karana, then Asamvai Karana, and Nimitta Karana. Here examples, Ayurveda examples also can be written about the doshas and Vyadi, or you can, if you don't notice, you can write the Tantu, thread, etc. Also, like thread is the reason for the karya, that is nothing but the cloth, and red color or the pattern of stitching is the asamvai karana. This is also inseparable, but asamvai karana in the karya karana vada. Nimitta karana is the external cause where the person who is weaving that particular cloth is nothing but the who is also helping a reason to make the cloth. So they are nimitta karana. Now after writing the karana three types in karya, we are writing karya. What is karya? Karya is nothing but the effect or cause. So what is going to happen, etc. Now after writing those things, so Satkaryavad has been asked for a this kind of question. Now Satkaryavad usually comes for 10 marks, or if it is missed in 10 marks question, it definitely is asked for 5 marks question. So what is Satkaryavad? It can be classified. It is explained by Sankhya Darshana. So if you see, it is two types: Parinamvada and Vivartavada. Vivartavada is told by Vedanta Darshana, and Parinamvada is nothing but the in Parinamvada there are 5 points. There are 5 points like mm, Satkaryavada. We have to always know that Asat Akaranat Upadan Grahanat Sarva Sambhava Abhavat Shaktasya Shakya Karanat Karna Bhavat. So this point system, if you write meaning with example, since I've told you this is always asked in the examination. So first again definition with example. So definition, example, definition, example. You have to write all the definition examples. You have to by heart all those things. And it is, I have told you, since it is asked every time, so you have to prepare accordingly. Now, importance of Satkaryavada in Ayurveda. Definitely, any questions which will be asked in Ayurveda, they'll always ask for the utility and importance in Ayurveda. So, what is the use of Satkaryavada? So, Dhatu Utpatti, we know, we talk about Ahar Vipaka, Rasa Parinam Vipaka, Sroto Utpatti, etc. So, all those things, theories are there. The theory is based on the Parinamvada or the Satkaryavada, which has been accepted and implemented in Ayurveda. So these are the contributions of the Satkaryavada in the Ayurveda. So this in this way we have to write it. Now another question. This is a 5 mark question. Tarka. Now this has come frequently nowadays. It is coming. And now it's a very important question. Tarka is a topic in Anumana Pramana. So, for example, what is Tarka? Avigya Tattva Tarka. So, Karnopapati Tastatva Jnanartha Samotarka. It is nothing but a reasonable thinking or argument regarding some topics for establishment of fact is called as Tarka. And it is having a playing a very important role. It helps in Pramana for attaining with valid knowledge. It removes Mithya Gnana, and it is a cause for clearing the doubt. It causes strengthening of the participants, the argument which has been pushed by the participants. So again, this is a 5 mark question. So along with that, there is maybe a twist may be asked in other form. For example, explain Tarka as Aparma versus Tarka in Anumana. Now, Aparma, is what do you say, Ayathartha Jnana or Ayathartha Anubhava. So it is of three categories. Aprama. Prama is the real knowledge. Aprama is the false knowledge. So it is of three categories. Tarka, Samshaya, Viparyaya. So these are the three categories. But Tarka as Anumana, we have seen the previous slide. Same thing again in this particular slide to why we use Tarka in Anumana, though it is Abrahma, because it helps in Anumana. It represents the sharp. It is nothing but an argument which has to be solved. If that particular questions has not been asked, then your Anumana may be biased one. So these are the points where I think so this time it may be asked. Explain Tarka as Aprama versus Tarka in Anumana. So the both slides are giving you a full 5 marks answer. So if Just write it as usual what is there in the, or you can write extra also. You will definitely get 4 to 5 marks if you write in this particular way about the Tarka Numana. So this is just one example of 5 mark question from PV2. Another one example is there here for Padartha Numana as well, or what we call as Panchaviv Vakya. It has come several times for a 5 marks question. It usually is asked for 5 marks question, or it may be clubbed with other question like Anumana, or can be asked for 10 marks question. So whatever it is, you have to answers remains the same. Based on the marks, you have to attempt the make more or less the same thing. So like here, Padarthanumana is there. Uh, Here, the person has to. There are 5 steps involving in Padarthanumana. You can write one below one, so to improve the bulk of the answer, because that is also necessary. Sometimes you have to improve write the bulk of the pages. So you will be having three pages for 5 mark question. In that 3 pages, at least 2 pages has to be filled by you. So for a 5 marks, excuse me. So you have to write in that particular. So again, as I told, there is a standard format: definition, example, definition, example. So for all the pratigya, hetu, drishtanta, etc., upnaya, nigamana, you have to write definition, examples, definition, example. So if you write in this particular pattern, definitely you'll get 4 to 5 marks in this particular 5 marks question. So this is how we have to approach a question for PV and PV2, and it's easy. If you see, uh, it will be easy and to implement if you will do very much good planning beforehand. Okay, since I have told you the portions are very much limited, and we know what questions may come for the exams. So we have to be well prepared and well implemented so that it will be easier for you to pass and by getting good marks. So this is how we are going to study. So I think so. If anybody is having, or if somebody is there, if you want, you can ask the questions either through mail, or you can ask in this particular platform so that I can discuss. There are my PDF question answers also, which are there with my students. So you can take those particular notes, and they are in the form of question answers. So it will be easy for you to implement. And I have given the basic format to write. You can improve the question. It's not that you have to simply blindly copy. You can always improve the answers by adding certain more points. But depending upon your writing speed, you have to incorporate those particular points in extra. Otherwise, whatever I have given in those notes, etc., it's more than enough to score and pass in the examination. So here I complete my session regarding PV1 and PV2, how to write a exam. I hope all the students have uh, will get uh, valid points, and they will use these points to improve their writing in the examination and score better marks, and also to pass in the examination.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for such an elaborative and knowledgeful session. Shall we uh, go ahead for the question and answer session, sir?
Yeah, please, please.
Thank you, sir. Now I request the viewers to start posting your questions, and I'll be reading out those questions to sir. Any doubts regarding Padartha, or any doubts regarding examination, or how to um, whatever the questions you have, just start posting in the chat box, and I will be reading that out to sir. We have the first question from Dhanashri. The question is, sir, why we should study the concept of Etva?
Hetva, Hetva Bhasa is actually a concept where you have to study to increase your acuity, the sharpness. Your Anumana is what? Anumana is your intellectual thinking. And we are studying the Anumana Pariksha. Why? To sharpen your analytical skill. Now, in your analysis, what happens? There are a lot of things where you may be misguided, where you may think in a wrong way. So that wrong way thinking is nothing but called as hetva bhasa. So if you know the hetva bhasa properly, actually it's a very higher level of topic which should not be given for first year. But hetva bhasa are those things which can distort your thinking, your analysis, and you uh, put more weightage to the analysis, because by seeing we cannot see, we can see only limited things, but by asking many questions we can come to a diagnosis. And why we are using anumana, and if your diagnosis is accurate, your treatment is also very easy. If your diagnosis is wrong, what happens if the treatment fails and it is very dangerous situation? Hetwabhasa will help us to know the negative factors when you do analysis or analytical thinking. These are the things which may create a trouble. Okay, for example, if I say this patient is suffering from fever because he is having dengue fever, he is suffering from high temperature. Now, when I say high temperature, now high temperature is present even in malarial fever also, even it is present in typhoid fever also. It may be present in any kind of respiratory infection like pneumonia also, and many other conditions where fever will be the high temperature. So this kind of reasons, if I give, then it becomes wrong. No, in the technical and scientific world, this kind of reasons cannot be given. It's like this is a cow because it has got a horns. Okay, same example. So we have to be specific. You have to give a proper reason. For example, if you tell this particular patient is having high grade temperature, he's having rashes all over the body, which depicts there is petechial hemorrhage in the particular person, and his blood report is positive with the antigen. So if you say these two, three reasons properly, then it is definitely a dengue fever. So your analysis is correct. So Hetwa is why we have to study is that to sharpen your skills for analysis. So for that reason, we have to study the Hetwa.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. The
Yes.
next question we have is student called Pratiksha. She is asking, sir, the expected questions from Vimshati Guna.
Expected questions. So usually Vimshati Gunas, there are two things. Usually, since the NCSM has made it very clear, so one long answer question is coming from Guna chapter. So it may be from one is either Vimshati Guna or Paradi Gunas. So Vimshati Gunas, if it is asked for 10 marks, then you have to write, as I told you, three lines for each Guna, and you have to complete. Don't write too much, but you have to cover all the 20 gunas. Okay, because it has been asked about in 10 marks question. Now, even if it is not asked for 10 marks question, then probability is that it will be asked for 5 marks question. So what 5 marks question they may ask? They may ask individual gunas, not total 20 gunas, like guru lagu, shita ushna, like that they may ask individually for 5 marks question. So you have to prepare the answers in the 5 mark, so it should fill at least 2 pages of the answer booklet. And there is a proper format in all the Guruvadi Gurumas. Always first is definition. Definition is nothing but a single line shloka, like Etrasava Brahmana Shakti Saha Guru Guna. So like that, then Panchabhautik Sanghatan is Jala plus Prithvi. Okay, then it's karma. Now what is brahmana? What is guru guna? Guru guna is very guru to digest. For example, this is not based on the mass, it is based on the action on the agni. So then example is masha, that is black gram. So write that, you have to write in that particular format. So if you write in that format, you will get full marks. Same way you would write for lagu also.
Thank you, sir. The next question we have is, sir, what are we supposed to study or write in Karyakarana Siddhanta practical application?
Utility of Karyakarna Siddhanta. Okay, so if a general question, now I have given the slide for Satkaryavada. If the question is asked for general, like general utility of Karyakarna Vada, so then you have to write this Satkaryavada, these 2 3 points. Then you have to write Sabhava Upram Vada. Then you have to write Anekanta Vada. And then you have to write and Parmanu Vada. These 4 5 Vadas are there, which is accepted by Ayurveda. No need to write utility of all the other Vadas. These 4 to 5 Vadas has been accepted by Ayurveda, which is nothing but Satkarya. The Satkarya already the slides were running, so I think so the notes were there in that particular slide. Second is the Sabhava Upram Vada. Now Sabhava Upram Vada is accepted by Ayurveda because Charaka has told what is that Vada? It is nothing but a destruction. Why self destruction? Why? So the greatest example is the RBC itself. Now, RBC is having a span of 100 to 120 days. So what is the why it should not stay beyond 120 days? Swabhava naturally it gets restricted naturally. So this kind of vada is called as Sabhava Upram Vada. So you can write the examples of RBC. Now next is Anekanta Vada. Anekanta Vada is accepted by Ayurveda is having a multiple view about everything. So we have to keep always options for multiple views to avoid friction. So those things are used in Yukti and planning. The next is the Parmanu Vada. Parmanu is nothing but the molecules. So according to Vaishik Krishna, everything is based on molecules, atoms, and subatoms, thus Renu, Parmanus, Anu, etc. So Ayurveda also believes the Parmanu. So our body is made up of Parmanus, the Parmanus of Panchamahuta. So that you have to write. So these 4 5 Vadas only you have to write. No need to write other Vadas like Pilupaka, Pitrapaka. Those are Nyaya and Vaisheshika Vada. If it is asked specifically, you write those only. But in general, if they ask, you write the utility of these 4 Vadas only.
Thanks, sir. The next question is, if Tama is asked, what to write?
Tama is not included in the syllabus. It was there in old syllabus. So this has been removed long time before only. Tama says Dravya Khandatvam. It was there in the now in the latest NCSM syllabus also. Tamas is not there. Before it was there in the older syllabus, but it has been quite some time. It was removed in previous also, and now also in the new latest syllabus there is no mentioning about tamas. But some people consider tamas as the one of the 10th dravya, the mimamsa people or what we say other some category of darshana. But the all the other darshanas have done contradicted that tamas is has to be not considered as a 10th dravya because it is nothing but the absence of light. It's absence of teja dravya. Wherever teja dravya is there, tamas may not come. So the absence of tejas does not mean that it is a dravya. So for that, just for your information, that tamas is not in your syllabus as per the new syllabus.
Thank you, sir. The next question we have is, how many definitions to be included when asked about any pramana?
One definition is sufficient. It depends upon the marks. For example, you have nothing to write, then you have to write 2 3 definitions. But usually 99% one definition is enough. And wherever the definition shloka is given by Charaka, you have to write those only. Don't write Darshanik shloka. Okay, don't write Darshanik. For example, Guna is there. There are many the Darshanik shloka, but Charaka has to samvai to Nishcheshta Karanam Guna. So that shloka is mandatory. Okay, like Dravya definitions are there. Lot of Dravya definitions are there in the textbook. They'll write 8 to 10 shlokas, but only one shloka is important. That is Yatrashita Guna Karanam Karanam Samvai Yat Tat Dravya. So always remember wherever Charaka has given the shloka, that is the first choice and first definition which you have to study. Since we are studying Ayurveda, not the darshanas, so you have to write wherever the Charaka shloka is there, you have to write those shlokas only for definition.
Thank you, sir. The next question we have is, sir, what to study in concept of darshanas for SAQ and LAQ, and which darshana is the most important?
Out of Shat Darshana, the first 3 are the more important. Remaining are that are not that useful to the Ayurveda. That is Vaisheshik, Nyaya, and Sankhya, because they have contributed a lot to our Ayurveda and little bit from Jayan Darshana in the form of Anekanta Vada. But usually these 3 darshanas are asked, and that they are the important. Remaining 3 darshanas, yoga is different. Yoga
Thank you,
darshana,
sir.
and yeah, please. Next question, please.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you for answering all the questions. I think that's all from our question answer. Sir, we would like to ask you one question from our side. If you allow us to ask, I'll ask, sir.
Yeah, please, please go ahead.
Yes, sir, thank you. So, since this is a completely new scheme and completely different from the previous schemes, what RS5, RS6 we had, like there's only the question paper pattern used to be changed and only Viva exemption or inclusion, only minimal changes were there. But for this batch, there was completely new draft of syllabus, new draft of exam pattern, test, internal marks, the way of writing records,
Mhm.
submitting papers, assignments, and everything. So it was completely a different scheme, and these days were the first batch. And also considering the fact this is their first professional year, there's a huge shift from how they used to answer in second PUC exam and how they are supposed to answer in first professional year exam. There's a huge shift, and there's a huge difference between the results also, sir, because scoring 95, 90 is are so easy in
Yeah,
SLC or PUC. But
yeah.
even parents would be expecting that. Say, even I'm telling my own experience. My parents will ask, why not you have got 95, 96 in the subjects, though you have got 4 days for to study for a particular paper. So these are the questions usually the parents will ask the students, and but the scenario is unlikely and completely different what we have in this professional course. So the students will be under certainly under a lot of mental pressure and conflict of thoughts within themselves, and seeing their surroundings. If someone is telling that they have read more, that they have read this, and considering the fact and pressure from the parents, or the pressure that if what if something goes odd and they would lose one or two papers. So they are under a lot of mental pressures, this particular batch, because I have interacted with many juniors, and I have got few responses where they are under a certain mental pressure, sir. So what would you like to suggest or advise to them to overcome this, and to face the exams bravely, and despite of any outcomes or results, what would you like to suggest or give advice to them, sir?
First thing, definitely, it's a big tectonic shift from PUC to first year. Any medical subject, nobody in medical subject, nobody gets, even if you enroll in MBBS, you don't get full marks. Because definitely, I'm not telling, in engineering, it's a technical subject, everything is proportionate. But in medical, what we feel is that more than technical, it is about the own perception. Okay, it's about the doctor's perception regarding it's a patient, because it's a something different world. So that shift is definitely will be there about the marks. So nobody gets, very rarely I have seen to get a student to above 80%. Now, why it is in that way? But definitely there are chances nowadays. All the teachers are giving good marks. Otherwise, most of the try to, because since it is a lot of multiple point of views, all Ayurveda doctors have different views for regarding different topics. So there may the difference may come and you will get the marks. Second thing, okay, now it has been gone now since you have enrolled in BMS. Now, especially in Padartha Vignana and Ashtang Sangra, this Maulika Siddhanta, what we call as Samhita Dhyana, if you plan properly, if you plan properly and study in a planned manner, it will be very easy. The first thing is the acceptance. If you the first 6 months, it goes on aversion. If you're averting any kind of things, for example, you don't like Sanskrit language, you don't like Sanskrit words, you don't like Padartha Vigyana. So what happens? That aversion which is created in first 6 months, it will not make you to understand even a simple topic of Padartha Vigyana. Okay, so that's why that aversion first has to be removed, and after the aversion is removed, you can study in a very planned manner, because as I told you, everything has a point. For example, utility of Aptopradesha. There are 10 points. Try to study those headings. like Prakopa, Utthana, prognosis, then wholesome factors, name, etc. So like the 10 headings are there. Now for utility of Pratyaksha, so Chakshurendriya, this thing, the Darshana, what we are going to see, it's about the color, about the walking style, gait. So like that, this has to be by hearted. Okay. And similarly, gunas. Now guna is there. Guna is there. So example, 20 examples are there. 20 gunas are there. 20 karmas are there. You make a table. So what happens if you study in a very well planned manner? You can execute those things in your answer efficiently, and you can get more marks. The thing is that you have to plan properly. And I have told you many times. Now also I'm repeating the same thing. Padarth Vignana syllabus is very less in compared with the other subjects, and the marks are 200. So what happened, since syllabus is limited, marks is more, most of the time questions are repeated. If you open last 3 4 years question, and that pattern only your NCSM is following, same 10 marks and 5 marks. Now instead of a 2 mark short notes question, you have MCQs. You have MCQs. So this MCQs, I think so, if you score properly, it will help you in a very great way to pass. Because recently I checked the paper of my college students. They lose their marks in 10 marks and 5 marks. So what happened? This MCQs, once I check, if they are attempting more than 15, definitely it is a very great boon for them. And that's why you have 8 or 9 MCQ tests before the main exam. And most of the time, in those 8 or 9 MCQs, you will come to know what kind of questions are going to come. So it will be easy for you to execute those particular questions and get more marks. So it is no need to worry. First, be positive. The thing is that even if you are unable to clear, but still there is always chances. The thing is that you have to change your mindset. It's about your mindset. If you think it is big and it is problematic, definitely it is going to be big. Even a small issues and problems seems to be very difficult. No? So positive mindset should be there. If you're having a first positive mindset, you can score more better. And everything is interesting in Padartha. Okay, if you don't like it, it's fine, but still you have to study and pass. No, that because the sharp. What I understand from so many years of teaching is that Padartha will make your mind very sharp. It will help. It will make your mind so much alert, and sharpness will increase. So you can use this skill in many other ways also. So that's why you have to give some time. Okay, and first thing is positive mindset is very much necessary to study and to cope with the problems for the students who have just come from the PUC. So that is the only advice I can give you at this moment. And if you want further, you can mail me. If any student wants certain counseling, I can help them in that way also. Okay.
Thank you, sir. That were really some great piece of advice what you gave. And to say frankly, yes, sir. To say frankly, Padartha was one of my, not one of my, it was my favorite subject in my first year. Be it the concept of darshanas, be it the concept of ityasa. It was something which was like very interesting to read, sir. The whole subject Padartha. It's not. It doesn't seem like a subject more than it seems like a history and a story type. How much I enjoyed reading novels, that much I enjoyed reading Padartha, sir. So Padartha is still my favorite subject, sir. So I would definitely say whatever the things you said about Padartha is 100% true because I felt those things.
Anyhow, I think so. So many PDF notes are available of Padartha of my, which has been written in question answer format. So you can supply those notes, etc. Maybe that is just not that absolutely you have to write the same thing. You can always refine. Students should refine the notes and write what they can write, maximize their effort. So that was written long time, and that notes helps many students because that is purely in the form of question answer. So if you solve those question answers, if you go through it properly, it's more than enough for them to pass the PV.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And on behalf of my whole team at Genius and our whole organization, I would like to extend our warmest gratitude and thanks to you, sir. And and for your time. You just accepted the invite on just one interaction and just one call. It was really humble of you to do that and for taking such a beautiful session. I have been receiving messages that we want. A PPT of today's session because it was such a wonderful session
Yeah,
they had that
will
we have
give.
been receiving.
I will send a
Because
PPT as well as PDF also of notes. If it is useful for the student, definitely it will be help for
thank
them.
you, sir.
That will be highlighted, so it's okay. I don't know. I don't keep anything or hesitating.
Thanks. It was really beneficial to students, sir, because we are receiving so many messages in our WhatsApp that this session was really beautiful. So we would like to thank you again, and we look forward to work with you in person, hand in hand in future activities also that would benefit the students of Ayurveda and whole Ayurveda fraternity, the community. We would like look forward to meet and work with you in organizing certain things, conferences, workshops related that would be beneficial for the students. And we are and once again I'm saying from the bottom of my heart that we are really grateful for your time and your lecture and everything that you have given your support for us throughout this journey and for guiding us. We thank you for that, sir.
Yeah, thank you. It was my this thing was a pleasure to make the students, and definitely if they are passing, I'll be more delighted. If they get benefit from my notes or classes, I'll be most happiest person, because that is the only my guru dakshina. So that if students are passing and shaping interest, so that is the most what do you say, the gift for a teacher to have. Okay, so and thank you once again for the Jigyasa team for creating such an effort for the students who are very much weak, because we have to always support the weak students. Strong students will pass anyhow. They are, but we have to always support to the weak students. And Jigyasa is a platform where you are giving such kind of thing, where many teachers are definitely helping, so that they will can write properly and get score better and eventually pass also. So I hope this will be beneficial for all students everywhere in India. And I hope Jigyasa, I congratulate Jigyasa for making such kind of interaction. So it will be very good for the students as well as for us also to know where the our problem is, so that we can educate the student and we also can educate ourselves to go in cope with the students. So I thank once again Jigyasa and I think so. You also Karthik, Mr. Karthik, for giving me such platform.
Sir, we are very small to give a platform, sir. It was our opportunity to host you and have you on the session, sir, because you are such a great person in the field. And it was our opportunity to have you on the field, sir. And and I would also like to say that this is such a selfless thing I have ever heard because that's what make teacher, as mentioned in our classics, the teacher's guru is the most selfless person who looks after his disciples. And I have seen it live today, sir. So we are grateful for you, that sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Now I request your permission to end the
Yeah,
broadcast, sir.
yes, please. Thank you.